When I heard that Carmelo Anthony had stabbed a high school boy, I was shocked. Really? I mean, he's a big NBA superstar. Wait, this is a different guy named Carmelo Anthony. This guy's Carmelo Anthony with the K. I'm not really joking. People said, "Hey, did you hear about that thing where like that dude Carmelo Anthony stabbed some like 17-year-old?" I was like, "What? For real?" Yeah, Carmelo Anthony. He's a 40-year-old former NBA basketball player, played 19 seasons with the NBA, 10-time NBA All-Star member. That's Karmelo with the C. This story is about Austin Metcalf and a Carmelo Anthony, who was another teenager. Now, the big news from the story, which many of you may have already seen, I didn't cover it before, but the fundraiser has brought in over $160,000 for Carmelo Anthony. Now, why is the story going viral? First, I do believe the initial breakout story, why it went viral, was because it's the story of a white, I think it was playing football or something. This white teenager stabbed in the chest and killed by a black teenager. And the first post that I saw said, imagine if the races were reversed, this story would be all over the news. True. True and correct. I think for that reason, many people on the right started sharing this story, saying, yo, this dude stabbed a guy. He should go to jail. I ain't playing those games. We don't know the full details. It may be self-defense. There's going to be some difficult things for the Anthony family to prove. They're raising money, and they're using Give, Send, Go. Because GoFundMe says they won't allow people to use their platforms for this stuff, but Give, Send, Go does. They say they're a family of faith. I ain't passing any judgments. I am sad somebody died. He should not have died. But it's not going to be so simple when you read the actual story. That is, the claim you basically have is that Austin grabbed Carmelo in some way, touched him or grabbed him. After he warned him not to, Carmelo stabbed him and fled. That resulted in this dude dying. This does not seem like a story of like a gangbanger who killed a high school football star. It's not a story of a football star who was bullying a guy and beating him up. It sounds right now, and we've got to wait for the evidence, about a story of two teenagers that got into a confrontation, didn't know each other, and it escalated. Now, I got bad news for the Anthony family. Yo, dude had a knife, okay? Like, high school kid grabs another kid and says, get out of here. That does not warrant a stabbing. Now, they're going to try and argue that he feared for his life. He's surrounded by a bunch of people, so he fled. Good luck. Like, it shouldn't have went down this way. We'll see how this plays out. Let me read you the story, and then we'll get you the latest updates. A fundraiser for the 17-year-old who reportedly admitted to fatally stabbing Austin Metcalf. Metcalf, is that how you pronounce it? At a Texas track meet has now raised over $160,000. As of Monday, the fundraiser amassed $161,000. The Give, Send, Go webpage reads, this is the official support fund for Carmelo and his family during this challenging and difficult time. The narrative being spread is false, unjust, and harmful. As a family of faith, we are deeply grateful for all of your support during this trying period. Your prayers and assistance mean more to us now than ever. Last week, it was reported that Metcalf saw Anthony under his team's tent at a Texas track meet. And as a result, the confrontation occurred. Let me pull up this from CBS. It's from this morning. Carmelo Anthony's family breaks silence, heartbroken over fatal stabbing. They say in a statement released Monday, April 7th, by the Anthony family's attorneys, they expressed sadness that a life was lost. And the Anthony family offered their condolences and prayers to the family of Metcalf. This will certainly be a long road ahead, and during this challenging time, we ask for prayers for both families, and we ask for your patience and respect for the legal process as we seek the truth. Defense attorneys Billy Clark and Kim Cole said they are committed to making sure Anthony is given a fair trial and are seeking a reduction in his excessive $1 million bond. They say, around 10 a.m., April 2nd, during a track meet at Coy Kendall Stadium, Frisco Police Department said an altercation between two students identified as Metcalf and Anthony resulted in Anthony stabbing Metcalf in the chest. Police said by the time the officers arrived on scene, Metcalf was unconscious and not breathing. He was dead. Multiple Frisco ISD athletic trainers performed CPR according to the arrest affidavit. Metcalf was transported to the hospital and was pronounced dead shortly after he arrived. Anthony complied with officers and was taken into custody. According to witnesses, Metcalf and Anthony didn't know each other. One witness said they were with Metcalf under the school's tent during the track meet when someone they didn't know, identified as Anthony, came over to them. The witness said Metcalf told Anthony to leave. Anthony allegedly grabbed his bag, opened it, reached inside, and said, "Touch me and see what happens." A witness said Metcalf touched Anthony, and another witness said Metcalf grabbed Anthony. Police said that's when Anthony pulled out a knife and stabbed Metcalf once in the chest and ran away. Hunter, Metcalf, the victim's brother, was reportedly trying to save his brother's life before emergency responders arrived. He told me, I looked at him, his eyes, he was gone. He wasn't breathing. Jeff Metcalf, their father, told CBS News, texts about Hunter Metcalf recall. That's sad, man. I'm going to go on and say it right away. I think this is likely stabbed in the chest. Your sternum protects your heart. And getting through the ribs with a knife ain't going to be as easy, but he did it somehow. I think it was a lung shot. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not an EMT or anything, so I'm probably way off on this, but it sounds like a sucking chest wound. That's why he died so quick. Once the arresting officer said, "I have the alleged suspect in custody," Anthony reportedly said, "I'm not alleged, I did it." Anthony then said that Metcalf put his hands on him after he asked him not to. After Anthony was placed inside a police vehicle, he asked an officer if Metcalf was going to be okay and if what happened could be considered self-defense. Jeez. Anthony's attorneys are asking the public to refrain from all judgment. Dude didn't even know the guy was dead. Now, I'm seeing a bunch of people jump the gun, and they're saying, they know he's guilty and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to do that, dude. First, don't bring a knife out. You're at a high school fight, man. That's bad. Good luck. There's going to be some charges. I don't think I think he might get a plea of some sort. He's not walking away with this one as innocent. He's going to have like negligent homicide or something. They will try for self-defense. They're probably going to go for a race-based story. They're going to say something like, a black man, a bunch of white kids or whatever. He feared for his safety. And they might even argue that the Metcalfs aren't racist, but he's seen the narrative over and over again, so he was freaked out. I don't know. What I can say is, first and foremost, take a first aid training course. It sounds to me like a sucking chest wound, because I've told this similar story. There was a dude in my neighborhood, and he got into a fight. Some dude that I knew got beat up. This was a story. He got put in the hospital. His friends were like, "Who did this to you?" And he was like, "It was these three guys." One day, his friends, three dudes, see one of the guys, and they run up and they start wailing on him. Out of nowhere, one guy pulls a knife and stabs him twice in the chest. The dude falls down. The other guys freak out, stops the fight. And they're like, "Are you nuts? What are you doing?" They asked the dude who got stabbed if he's okay, and he says yes. He stands up, runs about a half a block, and then just collapses on the street dead. Because what happens is this. In order for you to breathe, you have to create a vacuum. Your diaphragm expands, creating a vacuum which pulls air into your lungs. You contract, inverse pressure pushes it out. Seems pretty obvious, right? What happens when there are two holes? Your chest will expand, but it's going to pull air in through the wound, called a sucking chest wound. That means you are breathing, but no actual air is getting your body. You may as well be holding your breath. You will pass out in like a minute, and then you're done. They say there's a bunch of things you can do, but I recommend you guys look up how to deal with this. Put a credit card over the wound and hold onto it tight. That way, as they breathe, you are sealing it up. You need some kind of piece of plastic that seals it. They say you can stick your finger in it, just plug the hole. They're going to be in pain. They're going to be struggling to breathe, but they will live. Don't take my word for it. The extent of my training was a hostile environment course where we did basic first aid stuff. That's it. I don't know that was the case. Homie may have actually got him in the heart, or it may have been like the aorta or something, in which case, you ain't making it out of that one. What I will say is, look at this, $170K to this guy's fund through Give, Send, Go, no less. They're not censoring this. And you can see a lot of people are saying pray and protect. This is not so cut and dry, left or right, white or black, up and down or whatever. We don't know what happened. Some kids got into a fight in high school and one guy had a knife. He didn't seem to have known. I mean, because this is according to the police. He asked if the guy was going to be okay. He had no intent to kill, but they're likely going to say, dude, you brought a knife to a school. You used it on someone else. That's it. You knew you could have killed him. He's going to argue self-defense, and they're like, you don't need to kill someone to defend yourself. That being said, I got to spin this around, my friends. I got to spin this around. If I was at my house if I was defending myself, I hear it all the time from the right. Any necessary force to protect yourself from great bodily harm or injury. And if this dude grabbed him and he argues that, he might actually get off. We'll see. But that's your update. I'll leave it there. Stay tuned. We got more segments coming up, and we'll see you all shortly.